The Society for Intercultural Education, Training and Research of British Columbia proudly presents My Perspective, My Voice, a video series that highlights the various experiences of different people in marginalized communities.
My name is Nemat. I'm a fourth year student at UBC studying microbiology and immunology. My background is I'm a refugee from Afghanistan. My family and I, we immigrated to Canada. We've been living here for quite a while now. So right now we're citizens of Canada, but we had a long struggle just getting used to everything in Canada, just adjusting to life here. For the first few years, it was very hard. There was the language barrier, the cultural barrier. They had to flee war and persecution in Afghanistan, so they moved to Pakistan, where I was born. And then from Pakistan, they immigrated as refugees under a sponsorship deal with the federal government of Canada, who brought us here. So with their support, we were able to come here. And although we're very grateful for the support from Canada, it was a tough situation in the beginning because my parents didn't speak any English. We were completely new to everything. Everything was very foreign for us, just like how things work here. A lot of the things we have here, like electricity and things, are taken for granted, but over there it's very rare. I would say my story is a success because despite all those hurdles and all the blocks, I was able to get to where I am, which is a student studying something. My parents, they never went to post-secondary either, so I really lacked that support in terms of like compared to other students. For example, some people, their parents are professors, or they're engineers or doctors. They really have a lot of help at home in terms of education and like what to pursue in the future. I had none of that, although I'm still grateful for my parents because they worked really hard to support me financially. But there's a lot of barriers in terms of like what they know versus what other parents know. So I'm very grateful that I managed to get where I am right now through all these struggles. I remember in kindergarten I couldn't speak English at all, so I couldn't make any friends. Everybody would sort of avoid me because I was like one of the few students who couldn't speak English properly. So like really that language barrier, it made me like very introverted because I struggled speaking with others. So I always felt this level of exclusion, like because I couldn't communicate with students and other classmates and they couldn't communicate with me. It wasn't easy trying to make friends when you have this language barrier. I was always surprised that not everybody shared the same religion as me when I first came here, so it was very different. So like what I was being taught at home isn't necessarily the same outside. So like for example, during the month of Ramadan, we fast and other people don't fast. So it was very interesting to see my parents not eat, drink, or eat any food, but like outside everybody's eating food. And when I started fasting, like in grade 6, 7, people would always ask me, why aren't you eating lunch? Why aren't you drinking anything? Why are you starving yourself? So there's also this like misconceptions of like, because not everybody understands like my religion as well as I do. It's okay if they ask, I mean, but although it sometimes get annoying, like fasting during Ramadan, I feel like a quick Google search would be like very sufficient. Like there's no need to like always ask me, because I even have this feeling that the same person might ask me one year and might repeat the question the next year as well. Or maybe they'll be like, oh, why is it in April this time, not in May? I shouldn't have to explain it over and over again. Very simple, like it's based on the moon. So it cycles 10 days compared to the solar calendar. So every year it'll move 10 days back. So say it's on May 10th this year, then next year it'll be May 1st. And then on and on. Searching it up would be a lot easier than just always asking every single Muslim out there. There's always these differences that were always highlighted by other people because they would always like question like, why do you do this, as to opposed to what everybody else is doing. So those differences were always there. Islamophobia is real, and definitely I haven't experienced it like full on, like head first, but I've definitely seen a lot of online content. It's really surprising that people tend to do it behind their screens, like as if that hides them and that justifies it, but they don't usually do it in public. So I feel like a lot of people are like, they're hiding this Islamophobic nature inside of them, which is really unfortunate because I feel like Canada should do a better job of just addressing it and explaining to people why it's wrong to target people of a particular religion. Because if you don't, you'll get similar attacks like what we saw in London, Ontario. Because if you have all this rhetoric online and it's not stopped, then unfortunately some people might act upon the rhetoric, right? Yeah. I've just seen a lot online, and it's really unfortunate. So like, hopefully in the future there's action against it, because it's just unjustified to have that kind of hate speech go online unpunished. Because if you just let it grow, it'll just brew, and it'll result into many ugly things. So definitely Canada has a problem with it, and hopefully it'll be addressed. So a lot of the rhetoric is that Muslims don't belong in Canada, that the cultural background or the beliefs and values of Muslims are inherently contradictory to Canadian values, which is factually very incorrect. I feel like there's this sense of, oh, they don't belong here, so anything against them is justified. So a lot of that rhetoric comes from there's too many of them, or for example, women wearing religious headscarves. They're always like targeted, and they're seen as alien or foreign or something that doesn't belong in Canada. So it's a lot of this rhetoric that really excludes Muslims, and it's really based on, oh, they don't deserve to be here. Canada isn't a country for them. So it's really rhetoric like that really shocks me. Teachers and like staff members were always supportive and everything, and classmates were generally understanding, but they're also kids. Sometimes they might push something a little too far. Grade 3, 4, like they might not understand how everything works. By accident, they might ask something they're not supposed to ask or something. That's expected. I've been through a lot, like throughout these past 20 years, for example. It was a very long struggle, but overall, I think it really defines who I am now, because all that hard work and all that effort I put in the past, it really shows up in my current behavior. Like, for example, I know what to do in situations of like stress or situations where I'm put under pressure, because I've been through all of it. So like it's something that comes to me more naturally in terms of how I handle it. I think that really defines who I am, and I think it's really helped me. So I guess people who like want to know more about me, they'll know that I'm someone who really works hard, and I don't really fall too much under pressure and stuff, because I've been through a lot that I think other people haven't been through. So I think that really sets me apart, and I think people should know about that. Some advice I'd give to people that are new to Canada, especially refugees, would be to always ask questions. Like, even if you're not sure like how to communicate it, it's always good to seek help. So in my situation, for example, I had a really good relationship with my teachers. Since I didn't make that many friends in the beginning, my teacher was very supportive, so I always had this really good communication. So she'd always set up a separate time after school just to explain something, because she knew I was new to Canada. That made a huge difference. And since I was also able to ask questions, it really helped a lot, because if, for example, I was silent or didn't ask too many questions, I think it wouldn't be as effective. So really putting myself out there and asking questions when I need to, even if you might struggle to put the words together, just always reach out and ask questions, because it can make a huge difference down the line. And not only does it like boost your self-confidence, but it will help you in like everyday communication and like just understanding how things work in Canada. Some advice I'd give to instructors who have like refugees or immigrants in their classes would be to set the initial baseline for communication. Basically, because sometimes they might be shy at first, but once you set in that initial conversation, that can lead to future conversations, and you'll have a working relationship that will continue on, hopefully into the future. So really reaching out and identifying refugee students that you think would really need help, because not all of them might have that confidence to actually reach out. So maybe just like in the first week or the first day, just like reach out, letting them know that I'm here for you, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to come to office hours, for example. Anything, it doesn't have to necessarily be related to academics. It can be about general life. So I think just having that initial conversation, it could be an excellent pathway for a future conversation. It'll really let them feel inclusive, and they'll know that there's an instructor that really cares about them, that they can actually communicate with.
Thank you to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, the Courageous Storytellers, the CTAR Board, and Vancouver Community College for helping make this project become a reality. Curated by Anu Pala and Tanya Cowie. Filmed and edited by Tejita Gupta.